Well, I think it's that it continues and continuously is challenging, and it helps me see and think in new ways. It continuously challenges me to do that. And as much as I think I know the work, when I re-engage with it, I always find that that challenge arises again. So that's one reason. Another is intellectually, I very much enjoy following the continuity and changes in his work over time. The way his imagery changes, the way his ideas evolve, the kinds of formal strategies he comes up with. I find that fascinating. And there's a mystery to it and a kind of logic behind it that I find very engaging. So that's another reason. And also, I'm fascinated at how he takes the same imagery basically and reconfigures it in different works
Mm-hmm.
within it's not really series that he works in, but he develops ideas with certain images. And then also the way he takes images and presents them in different media. So, how something that he might first do in a painting is then done in a drawing and done in different kinds of drawings and then done in prints. And I find that extremely fascinating. And of course, then the work finally, it's its visual engagement, its sensuality, its beauty that resonates. And that may be the most powerful thing. I became engaged with this work at a very impressionable age when I was in college. And actually, it came through hearing a concert in college by John Cage. He came to our campus, and I ended up going up to talk to him afterwards. And, I asked him a lot of questions, and he said, well, I think you should see Jasper Johns's artwork. And there happens to be an exhibition on in New York right now. This was 1964, and I was a sophomore in college. And he said, I think you should see that show. So I actually got myself to New York from Massachusetts. I don't even remember how, and was totally blown away by the show. I had never seen any. I was taking some art history classes. I had a little inkling of pop art, but only the littlest inkling. And I went into the show and it was like these flags that were paintings and these beer cans that were made of bronze and just all of the questions and ideas that were there in the work. Probably my most memorable moment was looking at painting with two balls. I don't know if you know that work, but it has three panels, two of which are separated by wooden balls. And I remember looking at it, and its quality as an object came through so strongly because you look at this painting with all these colors and brushstrokes and then you see the wall through this crack and you go, this is an object. It's not a window telling you a story about something else. It's just what it is. And that was really an extraordinary experience for me. I feel that it was, in a way, a culmination of everything I have been doing, especially since I did a book, which is the first volume of the catalog raisonné, and also a separate publication, because that really challenged me to think about these continuities and changes. And being able to think through and come into close proximity through examining every work, I was able to see the whole body of work and really look at it closely and scrutinize it and think it through. And that only enhanced my not only my understanding of his work, as much as anyone can truly understand fully an artist's work, but for myself, but also to admire it even more deeply because I could see the richness and the complexity, visual and psychological complexity of the work. So it was really an amazing experience. Yeah, well, I think in a way they encapsulate so much of what his work is about. I mean, I keep mentioning the continuity and change and the way he played with that idea by, creating one plate that has the hand, the leaf, the piece of twine, and the word resonate, and then changed other things. The numbers change, but also all of the other elements that are added and changed. And also, his work increasingly in the later part of his career has been involved with issues of mortality and the cycle of life. I think of the seasons when I think of the monotypes, because not only because of the leaves, which of course are about change in nature, right? They grow, they gloriously live on the tree, and then they fall and decay. And so much of his recent work has been about that process. And in the seasons, it's, you know, spring to summer to fall to winter. So I think in that sense, the monotypes relates to his preoccupation with this idea of the cycle of life. And also the idea of identity, how it remains constant on some level, but changes throughout one's life. I mean, the handprint is an image that goes back to his work of the early 60s. And he uses it as, a kind of metaphor for the self. And, that's such a constant in the monotypes. I think it's a brilliant series of work. And, I feel very pleased that somehow it came out of the work on the catalog Resonate. I mean, I think in the sense that, as he said, everything goes back to my childhood, and he was raised in the American South. I mean, his identity is very much formed by being an American. I don't think he's a parochial American. I think he's very interested in, worldwide art and worldwide experience. He did spend time in Japan, and I just recently worked on a show that had to do with a series of works called Usuyuki, which relates to what Japanese literature. But he did spend time in Japan just to bring that element in. But you know, he, he is an American artist because his work is very much tied to his upbringing and his own cultural experience. And of course, the American flag and the map of the United States are among his most iconic images. But certainly he didn't choose the flag because it's a patriotic symbol. He chose it because it was something that he grew up with and that was visible everywhere. And an image, too, that's charged with meaning. That's different for each person and in each historical period. So I think it's safe to say, yes, he's an American artist with his roots in his upbringing, but someone who has more of a global vision of humanity than just a parochial one. He's always said there isn't an, a direct political meaning, and I think that's very honest of him because I don't think in that sense he's a political person, although I think he cares about social and cultural issues. But I don't think he believes that for him, art is the place to express that directly. I mean, of course, it's always there because it's there no matter what the artist wants to do, because they're part of their culture. But he was very clear that when he did the American flag, it wasn't a political statement, you know. But of course, the flag is loaded with political meaning. So there's no way you can say it isn't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not a conscious thing he did, but part of his reason for choosing it is that it's so packed with meaning. Because his art finally, to me anyway, is about how meaning is created through perception. And the flag is a perfect image to kind of start that idea going. Well, knock on wood, he is doing well. I just talked to him to tell him I was doing this interview, and he was very happy to hear that the exhibition had been extended in Potsdam. And, he seems to be doing well. He's working in a studio. I know he's doing a new painting and he's working on a new print and probably other things. He's tending to his garden and enjoying his garden. He has a vegetable garden and flower gardens that he is very much involved with, hands on. So he seems to be very busy. He did, probably would have celebrated his birthday uh, with people if we hadn't been sheltering in place, as they say. But he did, of course, receive greetings from many, many people and flowers and cards and emails. So I hope he felt celebrated as he should on this special birthday.